Okay, perfect. So let me just kick off with a little bit of a welcome. Firstly, I think quite a number of you have been to our previous program, so it's really great to have you again, and some of you who are new. I like Sharath, he's got his video on. I would really encourage more participants to have your videos on as well, because it really is nice to see people's faces and interact like that. My name is Dr. Shunitra. I'm CEO and founder of Querist Consulting. We're a boutique consulting company that is based out of Petaling Jaya, Malaysia. And we work on a few pillars, one of which is skill set development, so soft skills in leadership, performance, transformation. And that's where we have something very common with our partners at Naman HR from India as well. So we've got Adish Deshpande today, who is our trainer, as well as Payal from Naman HR, who's been with us through most of the trainings we have provided so far. And today's training is about goals that matter. So very exciting topic, in fact, and very relevant to everybody, no matter who you are, whether you're a manager or just beginning to start your work or you're an executive leader, it does not matter, but goals are important. So for me, I am very, very grateful to have Adish today actually with us. My whole intent of putting together a lot of the trainings we have so far for the National Training Week is really to take our soft skills, basic common knowledge topics, but bring a region and global perspective. So we're lucky to have Adish, who has a lot of experience globally as well and brings a lot of knowledge on the topic. So with that, I hand it over to Adish to give a brief introduction as well, and then to start the training. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sunitra. Thanks a lot. A very, very warm welcome to everyone. As Sunitra mentioned, my name is Adish Deshpande. I started off my career as a techie, yeah, but then soon realized that, behavioral skills and people skills is what really motivates me, drives me. And that's how I started taking certifications, started working on what I really work with, and slowly and gradually transitioned into a full-fledged career into learning and development and facilitation, working with people. Sunitra made a very interesting point. You know, when we talk about building capabilities today, when we talk about people, there are so many things that are different, and yet there are so many elements that are common across the globe. Yeah. Across the globe today, the workforce is expected to be a lot more agile, a lot more informed. And definitely, over the years, the importance of the soft skills, importance of behavioral elements, be it in a leadership role, be it in the sales role, an individual contributor, a part of the operations, you're a technical, person, you handle a non-technical role, a customer-facing role. Every single role expects you to, excel in managing people, managing yourself. And hence, we are extremely happy and proud as a part of the Learning Week to partner and bring to you some of our flagship programs. And I'm happy that you had a chance to attend a few of them. But to give more context, in my experience of over close to 24 years now, I've had a chance to work with participants from, of course, from India. That's where I began. Participants from Middle East, participants from Europe, the United States, Latin America, and extensive work that I did in Southeast Asia region, right from, of course, Malaysia, but Singapore, Thailand, Taiwan, Hong Kong, China, Philippines. And there's a very interesting aspect that has come to me, which I intend to again utilize in today's discussion. When you look at across the globe, the workforce, right? Most of our challenges are the same. The kind of issues we face are similar. The kind of aspirations we hold are also similar. And when we talk of any behavioral skill, any tool, any template, any concept or framework, people have a really good grasp and want to apply that. But what differs is to a degree the context that we have because of our regional context. And therefore, I think it's really unique for us in the Southeast Asia region, specifically in Malaysia, to also look at some of our core areas that are affected because of our cultural nuances. Yeah. And that's the whole idea of me discussing these things with you. What I bring to you today is the a content that is applicable, as Sunitra said, across all walks of life. In your personal lives, as well as in our professional careers, goals have always been something that have been synonymous with every single task that we pick up. And today we are going to utilize the next little hour and a half or so in understanding some of the best practices. Also, I will take the opportunity to introduce some tools and some approaches and ideas that you can apply in your own lives, be it in your work or your professional careers. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm going to request again, if you can switch on your cameras, it'll be great for me to interact with you. So I'm going to share my screen. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, Adish, can see it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Great. Goals. And I'm sure the first time you must have heard the word goals is right from our childhood, right? When we were told that you need to set certain goals for yourselves. What do you want to become as you grow up? That's the first time I remember, when my parents encouraged me to think of goals. What's going to be your professional career like? Similarly, when we talk of, as soon as we start working, we've always heard annual goals that are set, which is to be able to achieve certain targets, numbers, or deliverables by the end of the year. And as we progress in our professional journeys, even in our personal lives, we do set different kinds of goals, be it financial goals, be it family goals. What kind of, life do we want to lead? And there are different facets for which goals are set. Again, goals are synonymous. But when we talk about goals that matter, we are going to talk about how do we as professionals look at goals today that help us not only to be motivated and help us to aspire to achieve more, but we are also able to be agile and hence proactive while managing and executing our goals. That's going to be our focus for today. So, what we will look at are a few things. Yeah, of course, like I said, we want you to keep the camera on. I will invite you to share. If you want to unmute and speak, that's great. But I will also invite some responses in the chat box, and I'll really appreciate if you could do that. Um, if and when you feel like asking a question, feel free to quickly raise your hand so I know I can pause and I can take that question. I will also reserve some time at the end of the session where we can have open conversations and discussions about questions that you have. Okay, so those are some of the rules that we wanted to set. Here are three main things that we tend to achieve out of this. One, what is we all know what goals are, but in today's context, what is the benefit of setting goals not only in one but several aspects of our lives? We will talk about different approaches and tools for setting meaningful goals. How do we ensure that those goals inspire us? And at the same time, how do we translate those goals into actions? I'll tell you why the last one is important. Yeah. I'm sure you relate. Several of us, set these goals. Oh, I need to get fitter. And I know I do that every single time. I need to have like a really fit physique. So I need to have a good daily routine of workout. I set goals, but am I always able to translate that into action? Maybe, maybe not. Because sometimes when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, no, it's okay. Let me just sleep a little more. And then there goes my workout. When I travel, I cannot always keep track of what I'm eating. So there goes my diet. I may set goals, but how do I motivate myself to translate those goals into actions? Because goals are of no use or there's no meaning for those goals unless we align them with actions that we take, where we monitor it, where we are able to also adapt and change the course of action. That's going to be our focus for today. These are today's objectives. So let us begin by looking at what we will learn today. We will start, of course, I've set the context. We will talk about the foundation of goal setting. How does that help us in different aspects of our life? What are some of the approaches to goal setting? Okay. I will also recommend a process of goal setting. There is a particular template, and I will give you an opportunity to also apply that template quickly for yourselves. And then we will look at how do I now channelize my energies into taking actions and take my goal to its closure. That's going to be the flow for today's session. Now, meaning of a goal. It's pretty simple. When we talk of goal, it is a particular state in future that we are aiming for. Something that we would have achieved, something that we would have acquired, something that we would have completed at a future date. That's in simple words, that's what goal is. But a goal for an individual has a lot more than just a state of being. It's also the value that you derive out of it. Or it also is aligned with your ambition as an individual. Let's say several of us, I'm sure, growing up, there was this fascination about, oh, I want to buy this particular car, and then that became your goal to buy that car as soon as we started working. Yeah. Or for those of us who like to ride, yeah, we always had that. I need to buy that race bike that I really look forward to. I want to buy a Royal Enfield. Now, those are the kind of you know uh, uh, those are goals. It's aligned with ambition, it's aligned with our effort. We get excited and motivated with it. Yeah, that's what in simple words goals are. So just to get the ball rolling, I'm going to quickly ask if you could type down one such goal that you had growing up in the chat box. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a bit so I can also access the chat box. I want you to use the chat box and type in one such goal that you had growing up. Okay. Feel free to share. Don't worry. Whatever you share is going to stay here. So share whatever goal you had. I'm going to start and type in what I had as a goal. I okay. I can see some responses coming in. Ah, you wanted to get a piano. How sweet, Sunita. That's great. Complete masters in management. Fantastic, Sarat. So I remember I wanted to buy this dream bike. And I remember, a particular off-roading bike, and wanted to plan an off-roading trip to Ladakh with my friends. I really was looking forward to that. Um, Arlene is typing something. I'm waiting for the others to put in your inputs as well. What were you aspiring to do? What was your goal growing up? Cardiac doctor. Wow. That's interesting, Payal. You're doing something similar though. You're still dealing with people. You're still working with people and their well-being. So that's great. All right. I'm waiting
Fixing
for
hearts
more
in a different way, Payal.
fixing hearts in a different way. Totally. Okay. We're waiting for more responses. We're waiting for more responses. Let's see. What else? What else? Come on.
Actually,
Let's
Adish,
let's
when we think of goals when we were young compared to what our goals evolved into later, it seems like so trivial what we were thinking
No,
about.
right? It's so different than what we were. Ah, want to be an astronaut as a kid. Oh, fantastic. Arlene, that's so cool. I mean, that must have been really inspiring. Yeah. Astronaut. I remember we all had such big dreams about what we could do, and there was this passion. And of course, like Sunitra said, when we started growing up, we started getting more and more realistic with it. Yeah. I'm going to give about 30 seconds more to see if there are more responses coming in, and then we shall continue. PhD, Sarat, wish you all the best with that. That's fantastic. Farah, is it something that you're going to share with us? I'm looking forward to it. Oh, wow. Archaeologist. Oh, wow. That is so cool. Farah, that's really nice. So I'm sure there must have been some motivation that came for you, and basis that you started thinking of that particular goal. I love it. I love the fact that we've shared some great insights. I'm now going to start sharing my screen again, so we all know what goals are, right? And in today's context, why is goal setting important, right? Irrespective of which state or phase of life we are in, goals, differ and change for people. In our professional careers, for example, we tend to have our own goals in terms of what kind of career growth we're looking at. We could also look at goals that we set in the interim for what we are going to achieve in our professional lives on an annual basis. At work, we do have the annual goal setting process. But at the same time, when we look at our personal lives, we could have financial goals, we could have goals related to travel, we could have our annual goals related to well-being and fitness. Goals are extremely critical, especially today. If you don't set goals, there's no way we can align and aspire towards achieving them, right? So when we talk about the importance of goal setting, we want to talk about these 5 Ps that make it extremely critical for us to set good goals for us in different aspects. Let's take one at a time and see what it really means. Purpose. Purpose is so critical. When you set goals, it gives you purpose for the actions you're going to take. Without goals, sometimes we don't know what we are doing while we are doing. Let me ask you this. How many of us take time to pause, zoom out, and think, okay, this is what I'm doing in my life today, but how does it align with what I want to do? What's my larger purpose in life? So one of the things I want to ask you to also think about is always go back to what your purpose in life is. And mind you, purpose is different from the short term career goals or aspirations that we set. Purpose is the overall, you know, your existence, your being. What is the purpose of your life? Why are you here? Yeah? Think about purpose. Now, goals help us check whether our actions are proceeding towards the purpose with which we are working or with which we are living our lives. Think about it. Similarly, it also gives us an opportunity to check, is the pace right? For example, I want to become an expert swimmer. Yeah. But I also need to keep, say, in the next 2 years, so a time bound goal of the next 2 years. Now, this goal helps me understand whether my pace at which I'm taking actions, at which I'm learning, is that really going to help me to be an expert swimmer in 2 years? Maybe, maybe not. Similarly, when you talk about your annual goals, we all have done that. Our annual goals at work are divided into quarterly goals and then monthly goals and targets. Now, that just gives us a good measure to check whether we are proceeding in the right pace or not. Similarly, it also helps us prioritize. Now, I know several of us here, I'm sure you have health and fitness as one of the important elements of your day-to-day, regime. Now, there are times when, unfortunately, with work, if some of us are not able to prioritize that, but one, report that comes and it says, oh, looks like my blood pressure seems to be getting off the charts, or oh, looks like cholesterol's increasing. Now that immediately changes perspective, and we are motivated, or rather pushed into setting a real time goal where we don't look at then excuses. Prioritization becomes easy when you set goals for yourselves, where you know that irrespective of what happens, I will continue to prioritize this. For example, Sharad gave us a brilliant example today. He wanted to complete his masters, and now he's looking forward to complete his research and aim for his PhD. Now imagine, I'm sure Sharath has several things to do on a daily basis, but with that goal in mind, he's able to therefore prioritize, saying, you know what, no, every week I'm going to spend these many hours only for my research work. And that's what prioritization helps us with. Similarly, when we look at passion, yeah, a lot of times goals also help us check whether how passionate we are about what we are doing. It helps us check if we are aligned with our passion. Of course, not all goals are always something that we are passionate about, but it gives you a good dipstick to check how am I pursuing this goal? Am I passionate enough to be able to achieve this? And finally, of course, performance, because with the goal, the measure that you get tells us how you are performing against the goal that you've set. Without the goal in mind, without an end outcome in mind, we wouldn't be able to map our performance to anything. Yeah, so it's pretty simple to know that these five P's are make it extremely critical to have a goal for ourselves. Yeah. Now, taking cue from this, Sharath has already mentioned, but I want each of us to consider this year. Okay. Considering this year, I want you to write down one goal that you have for yourselves. Just write down in your own words in the chat box one goal that you have for yourselves. It could be a goal in your personal lives, it could be a professional goal, it could be anything. It's completely open. I want you to type down one goal that you have for yourselves. I'm again going to stop sharing for a bit so I'm able to look at the chat box. Okay, let's see. Ah, perfect. Anish said that my realistic goal is about fitness and health. Exactly. Perfect. Always reflect to become even better version. That's great, Arlene. I really like that. So let's see what are your goals. So I have identified two certifications. These are professional certifications that I want to complete by the end of this year. And I have already started planning for those. To become a subject matter expert in your field, that's fantastic, Farah. What else? Let me see what are your goals. Waiting to get some responses. Oh, yes, Anis. Wish you all the best with that. I mean, that is so, so critical. We have to be on top of our health. So it's I like it, the fact that you want to reduce cholesterol level and also reduce some weight, lose some weight. Fantastic. What else? Let me hear from the others. What do you think are your goals for this year? I can see a lot of people are constantly typing in. I'm waiting to get some more inputs to be accepted into a DBA program at the end of the year. And you're already preparing for that with the help of the university. Thank you. Perfect, Arlene. That's really great. Just a quick shout out, Henrietta, Chloe. Uh, then we have Ko, Ryan. If you feel free to type in your inputs as well. I want to secure a job that has flexibility of time. Well, that's really important. Yes, today, the one of the ways of managing your work-life balance is to look at a job that gives you that flexibility. And I'm sure you have your reasons. Um, Akma, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Thank you so much for sharing that. Let's take another 30 seconds, Payal, at least facilitate four regional and two global programs. Fantastic, Payal. I love the ambition. And that's what you should aim for. Yes. Okay. Wonderful. So we all have our goals, right? And I want you to remember this because as we proceed further, we are also going to help you refine these goals and take some specific actions that can help you achieve these goals. So let's see. Let me go back to the slide deck. I'm going to start sharing my screen again. So we all know why these are important, and I know that you have said that for yourselves. Now, let's look at, for setting goals, what are some of the traits of an effective goal setter? Proactive, agile, strategic, resilient. These are four extremely critical qualities for us to be able to set goals effectively and leverage the goal setting process to enhance ourselves in our lives. I'm going to walk us through each of these and then give you an opportunity to do some self reflection. Okay. Proactive. Um, common example, right? How many of us set New Year resolutions? Yeah. Just give me a raise of hand. How many of you set New Year resolution? Raise your hand on the system as well. So I'll get to know. Oh, yeah. Perfect. I can see people raising their hands. Yeah, we all do it, right? And one of the common, jokes or memes that go around New Year's is that, oh, another New Year comes. We are setting again resolutions, and the resolution is active maybe for the first week of January, and then we just forget about it. We all know that sometimes, setting goals is easy, or we are there's the initial rush with which there is motivation to do it, but it slowly fizzles out. Proactive is one such key where you don't need to wait until somebody pushes you to do it. You proactively set a goal for yourselves. I gave you an example of health, right? Until you get that doctor's prescription that says, hey, you need to start exercising every day because your cholesterol's on the high. Now that's not being proactive, because there you are being pushed into doing it. And proactive is when, in terms of goals, you not only set goals, but you're also able to monitor, check, and not lose steam while you're executing that goal. So that's the first one, proactive. The second quality is called as agility. One of the common things that we all acknowledge today is how uncertain and completely unpredictable our environment is. What works today may not work tomorrow. During COVID, there was a very, very tiring time for the entire world, and we realized how several things changed. We don't know what's going to be, important in future. Agility is one such element that helps us stay flexible with our goal. I'll give you an example. Okay, if I were to, follow a fitness regime and say that, okay, you know what, I have to work out at least for 1 hour every day. If that happens, my role as a facilitator, I travel. Now just imagine if I have to deliver a workshop the next day and I'm not able to wake up early because I reach late night. I need to be flexible, saying, okay, today I may not be able to give 45 minutes. Instead, I'm just going to take 15 minutes to complete some stretches that I know. Now that's agility. Even if I'm executing my goal and I have actions planned, I'm agile. Same goes with the end outcome that I have kept for myself. I may have thought that, okay, um, I want to be able to lose, say, 5 kgs in the next 2 months. But let's say after 2 months, I realize, or I'm closer to the deadline and I realize, you know what, it's just about 500 grams that I've lost. It's going to be difficult. That's okay. I still have the opportunity to relook at my actions, set a new goal, revise the goal. That agility is extremely critical, because this agility helps us stay focused still on the goal and not give up. Because the biggest challenge is that when we don't get it, we tend to give up, which connects to the last point, resilience. And I'll come to that in a bit. But that agility, extremely critical, because we need to change to be able to move towards the goal. Let's look at strategic. Now, in terms of strategic, or being strategic in goal setting, helps in multiple ways. When you set a certain goal, you're looking at achieving a future state or achieving an outcome or completing a certain target. Uh, if you're looking at it only from one perspective, that's the only thing that you'll be able to control. But being strategic helps you look at the big picture. For example, let's say, I'm taking examples for a sales team. Yeah. When sales team gets their annual goals for the year, saying this is the revenue target we want to achieve. And then it is broken down into quarterly goals. Quarterly goals are broken down into monthly goals, and each team member is given a certain target that they need to achieve. Now, just imagine, for me to achieve my revenue targets, I need to understand my product, the company's vision, how the company wants to be perceived as a brand in the market. That's a more strategic outlook. Without that, I might only chase numbers and customers, but I may not be able to get the effective outcome that I want. And that connect to the larger picture of the company is extremely important. That's strategic. Similarly, when I talk about any career progression for myself, I said, for instance, I want to achieve 2 certifications. That's great. Why? Why do I want to do that by the end of the year? Why does Payal want to complete 4 facilitations and 2 global as well? If that is connected to my larger purpose in life, I know that my goals are helping me move in the right direction. That's the strategic outlook that comes from a person. Yeah. Finally, resilience. We all know resilience is absolutely critical today. We cannot just give up because we know, because the environment is so unpredictable, there is a chance that we may not get success. The idea of setting goals is so that we have a north star, like a direction. But it's quite possible, and it happens so, that we are not always able to reach there in the amount of time that we have predicted to reach. But that's okay. The whole idea is that we are therefore able to bounce back with a new goal that we set. Yeah. Being proactive, being agile, looking at strategy and a big picture, and finally, resilience towards achieving the goal are 4 key qualities or traits of an effective goal setter. So, how about we do this? I want you to take the next 5 minutes, think, reflect on yourself as an individual, and rate yourselves on these 4 attributes on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. Once you've rated yourselves, it's the choice is yours if you want to share it in the chat box, but I would definitely like you to identify one of these 4 traits that you think you need to work on as an individual. You think this is one area that I think I should focus a little more on. So, 5 minutes. I want you to first, in fact, let's make it 10, because give it some thought. One of the best ways to do this kind of an open self reflection is to think about specific instances in the past that can help you validate your rating. For example, if I were to rate myself on being proactive, I might think about, if I talk about my personal goals, have I been proactive about it? Do I have to be reminded by others? uh, do I do it only when I see somebody, you know, push me to do it, or an external force that pushes me, or do I genuinely, without fail, proactively track it for myself? I look at that and basis that score myself. Again, a word of caution: on a 5 point scale, it's very easy to rate ourselves a 3. It's neither here nor there. It's a very safe space. So don't do that. Be realistic to yourselves. The choice is yours. You don't have to share with us, but ensure that you're able to give us a rating or for yourselves that helps you think about it. Once you're done with that, I want you to share one out of these 4 that you want to pick for yourselves to work on. Yeah. I'm going to set the timer and the 10 minutes start now. And stop sharing my screen. Okay. Quickly, as soon as you have something, please put it in the chat box. I can see Anis has shared. Sunitra has also shared. Wonderful. Personal goals. Yeah, that's so true. Sunitra, it happens all the time that we tend to prioritize professional goals because there's a lot of external influence in that. But the personal goals always sometimes take a setback. Yeah. So I can relate to that. Agility, but low on the other aspects. Thank you, Anis. Let's look at some more responses. We still have time, so take your time, but give me some input on what you want to work on. Okay, we're going to take 2 more minutes to wait for more responses, and then we shall proceed. Perfect. I like that, Anis, when you say that you'll strategize more by breaking down and more specific ways to reach the goal. In a moment, we are going to discuss different approaches towards goals, and we will see which one will work for each of us. Great. So while we haven't received it from everybody, I hope you've had a chance to do that reflection for yourselves. I want you to think about how will you build that particular skill as a goal setter. Let's say if you identify agility as one of the areas you need to work on, I want you to also reflect and think, how will you build that agility? Think about what will you do. If being proactive is something you want to work on, how will you build that proactiveness? Same goes with strategy, and how are you going to work towards building it? Yeah. So let me go back to the slide deck again. Again, resilience. Think of how you are going to build resilience for yourselves. Now, when you look at certain goals that you set, you will realize that what motivates you to set that goal creates a very different approach. Arlene wants to share something. Yes, Arlene, go ahead. You've just raised your hand. Would you like to share something? You can unmute and speak, or just put it in the chat box. Okay, no worries. We will continue. Um, all right. So Here are three approaches that you usually find when it comes to goal setting. And this is really interesting. And I want you to think of examples from your life as well. The first approach is based on baseline versus benchmarking. Let's take an example. When you set a goal, for instance, for achieving a certain target, yeah, baseline says the approach is that, okay, you know what? This is what I have done. This is what I can do. And so this is good. I will continue with what I am comfortable to do. It's something that helps a person stay within the comfort zone. There is a high reliability because there is proven success, and you know this is something I can achieve. Benchmarking, on the other hand, is an approach where you are trying to challenge yourselves. You are setting a new benchmark, which means you are stretching, looking at a stretched goal. For example, if you were to, those who prepare for, say, professional athletes, when they work on their fitness, when they work on their stamina, they always use the benchmark method where they keep increasing and challenging themselves to increase their capability. For us, in the cognitive domain, or where we talk about building our mental strength or building our skills, also benchmarking technique is important. We've all heard of the concept of growth mindset, right? It's about being open towards learning new things and believing that I can always learn. Irrespective of what stage of my career I'm at, I can learn. Benchmarking technique is extremely critical in setting that kind of a mindset for us, where we are able to challenge and set newer goals. I have seen that happen with, those who run in marathons. In India also, and I've seen people who prepare for those marathons. They set incremental targets for themselves, which is purely the benchmarking technique. The baselining technique, of course, it's safe. It has more success rate, but it also does not challenge you. The choice is yours. Which are those areas where you want to adapt a baseline technique? And where do you want to take the benchmarking approach? Think about yourselves. At the end, we are going to discuss where and how will you use these approaches, but I want you to think about it. The second element is called as the disabling and driving approach. Again, driving approach means you are yourselves driven, motivated to achieve that. Your focus is on, what am I going to get out of this? What's the benefit that I get? How will I feel when I achieve this goal? You're not looking at minor setbacks. You're not looking at minor challenges. You don't get demotivated by them. You try to push yourselves completely positive, looking forward, and with a full steam, continue your efforts. That's the driving one. The opposite of that is disabling, where you are doing it not because you want to do it, but out of fear. You are doing it because of fear of consequence. The example that I gave for health, oh my God, I got a report that says high cholesterol. I'm scared. Oh, there's going to be an audit 2 weeks from now. I need to start working on something, rearranging my all the documents. That's fear driven, right? Disabling effect is when you are setting a goal out of the fear of consequence. Again, there are times when I've seen that this approach also works. But again, if we were to stay positive and really stretch our capabilities, driving approach is what we need. How do we self motivate ourselves to achieve something rather than waiting for some external force to push us and doing it out of fear, for example? Yeah. So these are two approaches. Again, we will discuss in what situations could you probably use this. Yeah. The final one, which is extraneous or elemental. Extraneous is where our focus is more on external factors, just like in case of disabling. It's external factors. If those things happen, then I'll be able to probably achieve my goal. Whereas elemental, is the goal setter takes complete accountability. Says, you know what? I'm going to do everything possible to achieve this goal. Again, let me give you an example. Because I'm using personal fitness as the example since beginning, it's very easy to relate to for all of us, right? There are several of us who say, I want to stay fit, but what do I do? I don't have a gym around me, or oh, my work starts so early, I don't have time to go to the gym. Well, you know what? My dog walker comes in late. So I have to wait and I can't go to the gym. I travel so much. I can't do this. Everything that I'm saying says that my goals are dependent on everybody else doing their job. If they don't do it, I can't achieve my goal. That's one approach. The other approach says I will do everything possible in my capacity to ensure that I'm staying fit. The dog walker comes in late, great. I will walk my dog and run with the dog. I have to go to work, that's okay. I will wake up earlier, an hour earlier, and go to the gym. I don't have a gym around, that's okay. I will find out alternate, home workout routines and start working out. It's about taking complete charge of your own goal. Yeah, of course, it's very easy for us to sit comfortably here in a seminar, in a webinar, and say this is the right approach and this isn't. But realistically speaking, not all our goals are always elemental, always driving, or always benchmark driven. Sometimes we do tend to look at only the baseline. Sometimes we do tend to use the disabling approach because, well, that it just happened and we need to somehow achieve the goal. Similarly, there are times when we end up thinking about several external factors or the support system that helps us achieve the goal. It's quite possible. So here's what I'm going to do. You all mentioned your goals, right? And those who haven't mentioned in the chat box, you have at least thought it for yourselves. I want you to look at these three angles, these three lenses, and think whether is it a baseline approach or a benchmark approach? Is it a disabling or is it driving? Is it extraneous or is it elemental? Again, be true to yourselves. What I want each of us to mention is one word out of the each of the three approaches. So we know it's either this or this. And just write down those three words. For example, I'm going to again stop sharing and I'm going to go to the chat box. I spoke about mine. So mine definitely is benchmark approach because those are new certifications that I haven't taken yet. Then if I look at driven or disabling, I think I'm leaning more towards disabling because well, let's face it, I am not necessarily driven right now. If I don't do those certifications, I know there will be I might fall behind, so the fear of missing out is what is driving me there. The third one, again, I think I could easily say that I am elemental. I'm not dependent on anything else. I am taking the elemental approach. Yeah. This is what I want each of us to do. Think of your goals and think of what approach are you taking? Is it benchmark driven or is it baseline? Is it disabling or is it driving? Is it elemental or is it extraneous? Go ahead and type that in the chat box. Again, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to quickly do this. Okay, let's hear it. Let's hear it from you. What is it that you think you're taking? Benchmark driven elemental. Perfect. What else? What else? Let's hear it from the others as well. What is your approach towards goal setting? Hey, I can see people are typing in. Arlene, Akma, Ahmed, Ryan. Again, if you're listening, would love to hear it from you. So benchmarking, driving, and extraness. Wow, that's really great. You're all aligned, Anis. I like that. I like that. Excellent. If we already have that approach, it's perfect. Just ensure that we are able to maintain it. Chloe, would love to hear from you. Farah, um, Ismail, Musa, you can share as well. If you guys are listening, would love to hear from you. Akma says baseline, driving, and elemental. Okay, wonderful. Good reflection, Akma. Okay, I'm going to go back to sharing my slide. Now, again, these approaches help us understand how are we looking at those goals and hence helps us alter our actions that we need to take. Okay. Now, we all have heard about SMART goals. Yeah. But I'm going to introduce us to a very interesting, while similar and does have little overlaps, but still a more holistic way of defining goals. We call this the carrot approach, CARAT. Each of these helps us define the goal in a more specific manner. C stands for clear, clarity. We all know that if we don't define the goal clearly, it's going to be difficult. A lot of times I've heard people say, I want to improve my communication skills. And hear that and I say, well, that's great. But what does it really mean? What does it mean when you say, I want to improve communication skills? How would you measure it? Is there a way you know that this can be improved? How would you know that? I've also heard people saying that, okay, I want to focus on developing my career, or I want to focus on, improving my financial health. Again, great, good goal. It is aspirational, but again, is it clear? What do you mean by my financial strength? How do I increase it? I don't know. So clarity is the first thing. Make it as clear as possible. Okay, where you elaborate every single aspect, you spell out every single aspect of that goal with clarity. We are also talking about being aspirational. Now you can see here, aspirational, if you're keeping it aspirational, it automatically takes you away from benchmarking, sorry, from baselining, and takes you towards benchmarking, because aspirational is futuristic and therefore something that one aspires to, bigger and better than what you currently have. And that's what helps you set a goal that is more exciting for yourselves. So make it aspirational. Don't go only by the baseline, but think of, can I stretch myself a little bit? That's what aspirational helps us. Robust, the word robust itself says that it's considering everything possible. So when you set a goal, have I considered different aspects of that particular goal, different areas in which that goal will affect me, different people in my surrounding who would contribute to that goal? Why and how will that goal affect my larger outcome? All of that, it's robust. I've looked at it from all different perspectives. Okay. For example, I could easily sit and say that, okay, I want to in the next 3 years, I want to build my own house. I have identified a particular area, but I want to buy a land and I want to build my own house. Now, while saying that, it's great to set that goal, but have I considered the changes in the economy? What if the inflation rates goes completely berserk? What if the taxes that are levied on property change in the next 2 years? These things are not in my control. But while setting my goal, did I consider these? Is what Robust talks about. Have I considered all aspects before setting a goal? Yeah. Similarly, alignment. I want to build that house over there. Great. But does that align with my larger purpose in life? What do I want to do? Let's say, for instance, I look at my end retirements. After retirement, I want to really stay in a smaller town which has a quiet lifestyle, closer to nature. I'm able to spend quiet time for myself, get into a bit of farming myself. Now, for that, this goal might probably align. But if my goal is, after retirement, I want to travel the world. I want to, with my partner, I want to ensure that every year I'm going to take at least a couple of trips, offbeat locations, or I want to learn new things, then I may have to think, well, is my goal really aligned to that larger vision of mine? That's what alignment is. And finally, time targeted. We all know, as a part of SMART goal, it has to be time bound. So by when am I going to achieve that is what it talks about. Yep. So What we are going to do is, I want all of us to apply the carrot template and transform your goals or articulate your goal using this. Okay. So here's what I want all of us to do. I'm going to stop sharing my screen again so I can show you what I want you to do. Okay, I'm going to type in for each of the aspects of the carrot, I want you to mention how have you evaluated your goal against it. Because I've seen you mention that, but I want to see the thought process. Okay, so C, for example, talks about clear. So what kind of clarity have you brought in? Yeah. Um, Similarly, let me start with my goal. Okay. Mm, achieve two certifications, one on simulation. I'm typing in, so please bear with me. I'm going to explain this in a moment. And one on leadership excellence by December 2025. Okay, so if I were to articulate my goal as to achieve two certifications, one of the business simulations, second on a leadership excellence IP that I've identified for myself by December 2025. Now, there is a way in which I can make this even clearer. For example, I could actually articulate which are those certifications, from where, how. It depends on what I want to add. But this at least gives me, certain areas where I know I have worked on these. So I want you to do this. I want you to articulate your goal in a manner that it is clear. It has a clear time element to it. You have evaluated whether it is robust, whether it is aligned. It is, you can evaluate whether it is completely aspirational in terms of what you've achieved so far. Go ahead and articulate your goal using the carrot template. Before you do that, let me also show you one example. Okay, so this was my personal example, but here you go. Look at this. Save cost is a very ordinary goal. This is typically at workplace for your department when you want to save cost. Ordinary goal setting says, I want to save cost for my company. That's great. But a carrot goal setting is reduce overall administrative cost in my department by 10% from last year in comparison to last year by end of, so this is an example from 2021. Now you can see how this is. It is aspirational. It is clear because it mentions everything. What kind of cost? Administrative cost. By what percentage? By when? For which? The entire company or just my department or one team? It makes it clearer. Let's do this. Okay. I want you to use the same thing and apply that for your goal. And I want everybody to type it in the chat box. Let's take 5 minutes for this. Yeah, your 5 minutes start now. Please put in your goals in the chat box. Excellent. I see something from Chloe right now. It says save RM 10K by December 25 and a constant of RM 150 per month. Fantastic. That's pretty clear. And I'm sure the context of RM would be clear in the group that you want to set this in. So Chloe, I love to hear that. Fantastic. I want to hear from the others as well. Ah, Sharat, that's an interesting one. I really like that. May I suggest something though? How could you add a little more clarity to this, as well as a bit of a time-bound element? So it's time targeted. By when do you want to set up a company? Anything specific that you want to add? What kind of a company? What is this aligned to, and what would be the purpose of this company? Again, it's up to you to choose to what degree you can, by 26 is what you're saying. Okay. The degree to which you want to specify depends on you, but the more clarity you have, the better it is for us. So we're going to take 2 more minutes and then we're going to move into the next one. So I'm waiting for some more people to share their goals. Um, Arlene, I hope you're still with us. We all of a sudden seem to have, you have gone quiet. Anis, would have loved to hear yours as well. Okay, I'm going to go back to the slide deck. I hope you're able to see the slide deck again. Great. So what we have done so far, we understood why setting goals is important. What are different approaches to set the goal? We looked at those three lenses and we also evaluated how it works. We have also looked at some of our own traits as goal setters. And then we have used the carrot technique or the carrot framework to be able to define and articulate our goal clearly, which makes it clear, which makes it ambitious, aspirational. It is, we are able to check how it relates, or is it aligned? Is it robust? Is it time bound? We did all of that. The real proof of the pudding, though, is how do we actually execute this goal? The next model that I'm going to talk about is something that helps us constantly check and monitor, push ourselves into action rather than just set a goal and forget about it. Yeah. So what you see in front of you is a four-step process that we recommend. Where do you think it starts? Is the first step planning, or is the first step executing? Is it monitoring? Is it analyzing? Out of the four steps, where do you think is the starting point? Again, I want you to use the chat box and put in what you think is the starting point out of the four. Do we start planning first, or do we start analyzing first? Of course, it's a pretty simple answer. It can't be executing. You can't execute without planning. It can't be monitoring, because what will you monitor if you haven't executed? But it's a little tricky. Between analyzing and planning, what should you do first? So I'm going to stop sharing my screen again. Tell me, what is first? Is it analyzing or is it planning? I'm excited to see the responses and let's see what your. So Chloe thinks it's planning. Interesting, Chloe. I'm going to address that in a minute. Okay. What about Anis? Is it okay? Sharat also thinks planning. Anis says analyzing though. Interesting. And then analyze later. I like that, Sharat. Okay, so let me give you a quick input on that. Yes, in most cases we do go with planning first. At the same time, if you look at um, realistically, it is always advised that your plan should be based on some kind of background work that you've done on it. For example, if I were to plan my fitness journey and say that I want to be able to run a full marathon, okay, and I have taken the target of 2026, November or December 2026 is when I want to be able to run a full marathon and I start putting a plan together, which means I'm going to start with, these warm up exercises every day. This is how I'll start jogging first, then I'll start sprinting. In 2 months, I will have, started running at least 5 kilometers every day. In about 6 months, I will have done this, blah, 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 blah. I make a full plan. But you know what? When I start executing, I realize, oof, the basic fitness level itself is so low. I can't even manage 1 kilometer, forget five. Now, that is when sometimes I may have to analyze some basic aspects before I start planning. Unless I know where I stand today, I may not be able to plan where I want to go. So, yes, while in most cases we do plan, the recommendation is though you start with whatever analysis you can. Past data, past successes, and past failures. Analyzing those and evaluating where you stand today is the first step for any goal. For instance, you set a goal to learn a new language. I want to learn a new language. Say I decide I want to learn Spanish. It's great. But I need to first know what is my aptitude to learn new languages. I may have to reflect and say, last time I tried French, I did that for 3 months, but I couldn't make it, which means there was lack of motivation, or my skill was not right, or the resources I used were not appropriate. So some amount of prior analysis is important. So yes, your answers are right. Planning is ideally the first step, but to be able to plan effectively, some kind of background work needs to be done. So you start analyzing the background first, plan, start executing as per the plan. So break down the plan into smallest possible time slots. Daily, hourly, weekly, monthly, depending on your goal, but something that keeps motivating you. So one of the best practices of building resilience, continuing motivation is to be able to celebrate small successes. Have you ever noticed whenever you have too much to do, we suddenly feel very overwhelmed. And it's like, oh, how am I going to do this? Oh, this is not going to be possible. It's weighing too much. It's too much. I can't take on. But when you break that down into small steps, you certainly feel that, okay, I think, this is what I can manage. And that's the best tip. As a part of your plan, ensure that you have kept those small successes that you can celebrate, you can enjoy, because that gives us motivation to do more. So plan that. Basis that, execute. Now, of course, execution requires a lot of discipline. So we need to proactively think. And in a moment, we are also going to talk about how do I prepare myself for executing my goal. But for execution, I need to think about what could probably go wrong. What are some of the things that might be a hurdle? And basis that, create a backup plan. Monitor. I need to monitor on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, whether I'm doing it right or not. And this is where the agility aspect comes in. While monitoring, you realize, you know what? This 15 minutes every day, 30 minutes every day is not working. I need to change. I might have to change my plan. I might have to change my execution strategy. But that's agility. And at the after monitoring, again, you analyze. What you analyze, where did I start? Where am I today? What worked for me? What did not work? And accordingly create a new plan. So it's a continuous circle until you are able to reach your goal. So here's my question to you. You follow this cycle till 2026 when you've set that goal. What happens next? You've achieved the goal. What next? What happens to this cycle after that? Again, use the chat box. Quickly put in your response. What do you think happens once the goal is achieved? What happens to this cycle? That is correct, Sharat. Set goal, analyze, plan. Because basis your goal, you would know where you stand today, where you want to go, and basis that you know what plan should you put in place. So what do you think happens after the goal is achieved? Use the chat box and tell me in the chat box. What happens once you have already achieved the goal? Yes, that could be one thing where you do a retro reflection on what worked, what did not work, which you're already doing as a part of analyze. But then you realize in the analysis that, hey, you know what? I've achieved my goal. Yeah, you do review. That's a part of analysis. But the process says that then you are now ready to set a new goal because you've already achieved one. So now you can think about, okay, what's going to be my next goal? Your goal the next time. Now, let's say I gave you the marathon example, right? I ran a full marathon. I was able to achieve that goal. Now, after that, I may choose to take the baseline approach and say, okay, you know what? I will just sustain this. My fitness level so that I can run at least 10 kilometers every day is good enough for me. That's okay. I don't have to take the benchmark and say, I ran full, I'll run double marathon. I'll run a triathlon. No, not necessarily. It all depends on what my next goal is. But the way is to, yeah, to decide what my comfort zone is, whether I want to stay there or whether I want to push and extend that comfort zone, just as Akma mentioned here. So that's what happens. So I'm going back to the slide. When you look at this goal, it starts with analyzing, planning, executing, monitoring. Again, set the goal, analyze, plan, execute, and monitor. What is required after each stage is calibration. What is this calibration? Any idea? Calibration is basically constantly checking where I want to go. Am I aligned on the path towards achieving the goal or not? What's working for me, what isn't? And that's what helps me be agile as well, right? Now, if you remember, we said that there are times when we do set goals, we plan for execution, but there are things that go haywire. There are things that go out of control. They're not in our. How do I prepare myself? So these are three best practices that one should prepare for execution. Number one, anticipate what kind of challenges or risks do I see. I have set a goal for myself, but are there some external factors that might stop me from achieving this? Is there a possibility that I might get derailed from my flow? Think about that. Second, to be able to achieve that goal successfully, what kind of support systems will I require? What resources will I need? Do I have all those resources right? Think about that. And also then plan how and when will I acquire those resources or make them available for myself. Finally, also think about what will be the benefit that I will get if I am able to achieve this goal. Now, I want to break this down a little and again give you a personal exercise. Why do you think we need to think about the challenge or risk that is anticipated? What's the point? Use the chat box and share it in the chat box. Why do I need to think of the risks, the challenges? Use the chat box again. Why challenges? Absolutely, Akma, you're right. To be prepared. So I know beforehand that, okay, these are some of the gaps. Oh, these are those curveballs that I need to be aware of. These are some of the probable situations where, oh, I might get derailed. So I need a backup plan. I need a strategy of how am I going to deal with this. I'll give you an example. When I talk about, and I will write this down as well. Yeah, I spoke of, let's say that I'm using the same marathon example. I want to complete, be a marathon runner. Now, couple of risks that I see. Number one, I get suddenly a lot of projects which require me to travel. Now I know I will be away from home, so managing my diet, managing my morning workout routine will be difficult. So what's my backup plan? Absolutely correct, to mitigate the unforeseen problems and issues, and that's why we do this. Similarly, if I'm prepared with it, I have a backup plan ready. So that's to prepare. Now, what about the second one? What kind of support system do I need? What kind of resources do I need? Why do I need to think of that? How does that help me? Again, use the chat box. Give me your perspective. Why do I need to think of the support system? I'm going to take the same example for me to be prepared as a marathon runner. I will need to ensure that when I travel, I'm able to carry my protein bars, protein shake powders, or at least some basic food so that I'm able to maintain my nutrition. Similarly, I need to carry my running shoes. So wherever I am, I can continue to run. Yeah. So yeah, Payal, you've raised your hand. Go ahead.
Just on a lighter note, I have seen Adish carrying that in his training. So, like,
I
I have
do.
seen him carrying all the protein bars, all the nuts, and everything.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Payal. Yes, I mean that's especially for us if we want to stay fit as facilitators, we do carry those, dry fruits and nuts and meal bars and all that. So that helps. Motivation, Ahmed, perfect. It's again a motivation for us because we are keeping those things with us. Finally, why are those final things important, which is the benefits? Because that keeps us motivating for new goals. And it always keeps us. So even if there is a day when I'm not able to run because it started pouring outside and I wasn't able to, yeah, wasn't feeling up to it for running, that's okay. I can still say that, all right, I didn't go today. Tomorrow I will get back on track. And that's only to motivate me. So I'm going to share the slide again, and this time I'm giving you another personal task. With respect to your goal that you have identified, I want you to list down number one, at least one challenge or risk, at least one support system or resource that you need, and at least one benefit that you see out of that. Okay, so I will model this for you. Give me a moment. I'm going to type it here. So, number one of the risks or challenge that I see is time for self study. And I'm talking about to being able to achieve my goal of two certifications, right? So one is time for self study. I may not get time. Um, one of the resources I will need is some access to online self paced learning. Now, if you look at it again, because my challenge is time, I also need some self paced learning tool that will help me benefit. Definitely enhance my profile by two more product offerings. There you go. So I'm going to type this and share with you. There you go. So I want all of us to do the same. Mention at least one challenge, mention one access or one resource or support that you need, and mention one benefit that you will get out of it. I'm going to give you again 5 minutes to do that. Quickly put it in the chat box. Okay, Anis has mentioned to be debt free by managing okay debts annually, by new property, by fantastic. That's really great. I like that. Um, it is going to be a challenge to be debt free, is what you're saying, right? I hope you have also then thought about what could be my backup plan. How will I handle that? Because that's the whole idea of thinking of challenges. Okay. All right. So I'm sure others have also thought about it. If not, share it here, but I hope you have given this some thought. I'm going to go back to my slide deck. So, if we reflect on what we have seen so far, we started our discussion today by trying to understand what are goals. Why are goals important? And why is goal setting an important task, be it as an individual contributor or as a people manager or as a business leader? Basis that, we also figured what are some of the benefits of goal setting, right? The 5 P's that we looked at. We then identified and explored when it comes to goal setting, there are 3 different approaches. The first approach was based on baseline or benchmark. The second one was disabling or driving. And the third one was extraneous or elemental. And for each of those, we saw why it needs to be a certain way. We also looked at examples for those. While we were doing that, we also realized that to be an effective goal setter, there are certain traits that I need to embody. And those 4 traits is what we got a chance to do a self reflection on, right? We talked about agility, we talked about resilience, we talked about being proactive, and we also talked about, which is the fourth one? Um, one second. My bad. The fourth one was, yeah, strategic. Yeah, strategic. How could I forget strategic? That was the most critical one because it helps us connect the big picture. We had also then looked at, the carrot model, which helps us define the goals clearly with complete clarity, with alignment, aspirational, it is robust and it is time bound. Basis that, we then looked at, okay, now if I've set the goals for myself, how do I execute it? And hence the model for execution that we looked at was to analyze, plan, execute, and monitor. We also looked at why that works in a circle and why it starts from analyze rather than only planning. Post that, to make your execution stronger, how do I prepare myself? And for that, 3 elements that we want to think of and prepare in advance. One, challenge. Second, any support or a resource that I need. And constantly think of a benefit that is envisioned. We discussed why each of these is important, right? This was what we had to cover for today. And I hope that some of these tips about goal setting were helpful to you. I was happy to hear responses and some inputs that came from each of you. Uh, it's all about when we do the exercise of goal setting, which we do on a regular basis. It is always good to look at better ways of doing it or best practices that keep evolving over a period of time. And hence, we were happy to share this with all of you. Just to give you a brief, we do specialize in different kinds of assessments, capability building programs. So do look forward to that. Sunitra will be happy to share more information with you on that. Here is a whole list of different kinds of programs that we deliver. So be it an individual contributor or a leadership, a part of sales team, a part of any other operations team across industries, we have expertise to deliver across them, right? Be it for first time managers or certain core skills like communication, business etiquette, etc., to some more strategic ones like strategic thinking, lateral thinking, leadership, etc. So feel free to reach out to Sunitra for more details. A very interesting thing which you may want to register for today itself. Today, we are doing another quick session on managing team diversity. It's happening today at 4 p.m. This is a link, so feel free to register for this, and I would be happy to see you guys again on that. I know it's 4 p.m. towards the end of the day, but I'm sure you will get a lot of value out of it. Yeah. Finally, we would love if you could share feedback of your experience that you had on today's session. That's right here. If you need to type in my name, I'm going to put it in the chat box. Or I'm going to request, because I will have to close the window. I can't see the chat box here. Can I request Payal to just type in my name
Yeah, yeah.
in the chat box? Thanks,
I
Payal.
will. I will. Yeah.
Yes. just gives me a thumbs up once you've scanned the QR code and once you have entered the feedback.
Meanwhile, you are writing the feedback forms. I think we'll be more than happy to hear your feedback as well here in the
Would love
forum.
to.
So, yeah, please feel free.
Payal, I think Sharath is asking for the
Yeah,
feedback form link as well, if
I
possible.
will paste it. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I'll paste it in the chat
perfect.
box.
Sometimes the QR codes may not work for everybody equally.
Yeah, these times don't get scanned. It's okay. I'm going to stop sharing. I believe everybody must have scanned by now. Payal, can you just also put in the link in the chat box? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on it, yeah.
Meanwhile, if anyone has any questions for Adish as well, please do type in the chat box
More than
or
happy.
unmute your mic and ask so we can hear your voice too.
Also, since we have done about goal setting today, I think feel free to share your goals or any concerns you have with Shunitra, and via Shunitra, I think she can, if you need Adish's or mine help anywhere, I think we'll be here more than happy to
More
help.
than
So,
happy.
yeah.
So most people manage to get to the feedback form. Goal setting is like a lifelong learning lesson, isn't it, Adish? It never
It is
ends.
totally. Never
And
ends. It's
because you
never
keep
ending.
putting challenging goals for yourself, and maybe you meet
Yeah.
some, maybe you don't, and maybe you need to repeat some for many, many years to come. I
Absolutely.
think
Absolutely.
knowing new techniques always helps, I think, but these learning opportunities are the only way you will learn new techniques. Most
Yep.
people struggle on their own.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. And that's the part about goal setting because at whatever stage we are, goal setting gives us a little more purpose in life, and which is very important,
Absolutely.
especially,
Absolutely.
when we grow into senior levels in our careers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sharif is asking, can share today's presentation slides as well and the recording. Uh, Yes, absolutely, Sharath. The recordings, we would post it in our website soon, but we will notify all the participants once we are able to do those. It's just a matter of downloading, processing, editing, and then posting it. So maybe within about a week or maximum 2 weeks, we will notify you just like we notified on WhatsApp for the link to dial in today, etc. We will give you the link to the recordings that you can then revisit.
Yeah.
And like Adish said, I mean, like a lot of times we set goals, and a lot of us set goals to upskill ourselves in one area or somewhat another area that helps us in our personal lives or our work lives, right? So very often goals also tend to go in line with learning something new. So do write to us if there are training programs that we can help you in terms of achieving goals, particularly because both Naman HR as well as ourselves here in Querist Consulting work a lot on soft skills. I work with a few groups of individuals. So my background being healthcare, I work a lot with healthcare professionals. They tend to ask for skills like how to communicate with patients more empathetically, or how to drive a business in healthcare setting to be something that balances profitability with nobility of what they do for, helping patients. Then I work with students. Students ask you very simple goals, like how do I better write a CV? How do I better turn up in an interview and improve my chances of being selected for the job? Things like this. So lifelong learning goes with goal setting and achieving them. Reach out to us if there are soft skills we can help you with in terms of learning as well. I would also add that we have so far actually done about 8 free National Training Week sessions so far. I think there are quite a number of you who have joined previous sessions, but we have 2 more remaining. So as Adish said, there's one more in a couple of hours now at 4 o'clock today, which is managing team diversity. And the last one will be tomorrow at lunchtime, again, 12 to 2, which is the game of trust, where we learn how to build trust and learn what probably are challenges around building trust, or when your trust is broken, or if you're stuck in a low trust environment. So if you're interested, the link is there in the National Training Week website, as well as our Querist Consulting website. So you could go there. If the class is already full, which I think if I checked by this morning, there were already 30 participants. And some of you who are from this who want to join that, then just send me a WhatsApp and I will send you the link as well. No problem for more people to join.
So tomorrow's session is going to be Shunitra's
Yes.
facilitation session.
Tomorrow
And
I
we're
will
gonna,
be the trainer for
yeah.
Game of Trust. Yes, there will be certificates for all of you today who have joined the class. The National Training Week site itself will let you download a certificate after having completed today's training. So those certificates should be there for you. Yep. Any other questions so far on the chat or in person? Nope. I think we are good for no more questions as well, Adish. So perhaps what I will do is I'll bring this call to a close, because we
Sure.
also are having this call during lunch. At least it lets our participants go and maybe grab a lunch or grab a break before you get
Absolutely.
back to work. I think Anis is
Absolutely.
typing something for that. Okay.
Thank you,
You're
Anis. Thank you
most
so
welcome.
much.
Most welcome. A lot of people are saying thanks, though. So I do wish you all a really great afternoon. Please stay in touch with us. Contact myself here as your local contact for Malaysia for any more trainings that you are interested in, any topics you have, or even if you have questions about, after you go back is when you would think about everything you learned. So then questions may come up. Feel free to always send me we're connected on WhatsApp. So always you can send me a WhatsApp message and we get to you. So with that, thank you very much to Adish as well for your time
Thank
today.
you
I
so
look
much.
forward to speaking
Pleasure's
with
all
you
mine.
again in a
Yeah.
couple of hours.
In a couple of
Uh,
hours, yes.
in a couple of hours. And Payal, likewise as well. Thank you always for diligently joining us on
Thank you
each
so
one of
much.
these sessions.
Thank
Have
you.
a great afternoon to the rest of you on the call. Speak to you
Thank you
soon. Take care.
so much. Bye bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Yeah, yes.
Bye,
Bye. Have
everyone.
a good day. Yeah.